everybody, you with your main man, Anthony Brogdon again. And let me tell you something, my viewers, I'm super excited. I got this guy on my channel today. Oh my God, let me tell you, I've said this a few times and I mean it again when I say it this time. I did not sleep well last night thinking about interviewing this young man. Well, hold on, let me tell you something. He can't hear me. I heard about what happened in this town called Africatown, Alabama. I got a guy on the channel, watch the video where he talks about he went through Africatown and he gives a little insight on it. Watch that one. And I got Africatown in my book too, because we talk about slavery in the book just a tad, so on and so forth. But let me tell you, my friends, I got the guy on the channel. His and he'll tell you how many great-great-grandfather was on that ship. That was the last ship, supposedly, might have been another one or so, but the last slave ship to come to America illegally. He's gonna explain it all to you. It's one of his ancestors. Strong inspiration. Oh, hold on, let me tell you that. I got to apologize. You see how excited I am, my viewers. My name is Anthony Brogdon. I'm that excited. I don't even care if you don't know who I am. I want you to know the story. Who I am is almost irrelevant to the story. I'm just going to ask a few questions. But before we get to the guest, check it out. Hit the subscribe button. It's free. I don't ask no information. All it does is let me know you like me, because I like you, and I'm going to keep giving you this good information. This is my charge from now on. I like doing this. Hit the like button on this video. My man is so smooth, he got a backdrop. He's serious about his thing. Like this video, hit the notifications bell so that you get notified when the videos come up. So you get a ding, a shock, or something. You want to be watching these in its entirety too, because we cover a lot in one interview. That's why they're so long. I put some up lately, they're a little more than an hour, and I usually just try not to keep them that long, but I couldn't stop them. It was too much information. So hit the notification bell and tell somebody about Strong Inspiration. Don't keep this to yourself, sitting there, you running around with your mask on and telling these people this good history that you know, and don't tell them where you got it from, trying to keep it from them. Don't do that. Let them know about it, please. Y'all know I'm a filmmaker, everybody. I'm this serious about, I've been talking about Black history for a long time. This is a documentary I did called Business in the Black. It came out in 2014. I took it to 40 cities on my own dime, sharing this knowledge of how slaves went to college and Black millionaires in the 1800s, and so on and so forth. Business in the Black is streaming on Amazon. Then, you know me, everybody, this is how I do. I follow through. I came up with this book. I wrote this book called Black Business Book. It's got over 200 facts. And one of the facts is about what my gentleman guest is going to talk about. Did you know all the ways slaves gained their freedom, and some of them sued for it and won? Did you know there were Black millionaires in the 1800s? Well, at least they would be considered millionaires in today's dollars. And I'm not talking just about Madam C.J. Walker. Even though what she did was phenomenal, there were other people. It's all in my book. You need to get you a copy. I'll autograph it. And every 10th book I sell, I donate one to a school. And over the summer, since school started, I probably have donated 120 books, something like that. I want people to know this, man. This is my charge. So get your copy. Now, the other couple of things is I'm having my own festival. It's called Freedom Quindaro. It's going to be in Kansas City, Kansas. People ask me why Kansas City. What happened was, and look at the video on the channel, slaves escaped from Missouri, which was, a slave state, to Kansas, which is a free state, and it just had to get across that Missouri River. I interviewed a guy whose great-great-grandfather did that, and they ended up in the town called Quindaro. I got to go see this. It don't make sense for me to go by myself. I'm inviting y'all to go with me. And I'm going to have a fish fry on Friday, and we're going to party in the barn, wear your dusty blue jeans. On Saturday, we're going to take tours of that area. And I got people that's going to tell it, and their ancestors did these things. And then we're going to have a picnic, and I got the people down in the area going to cook the food. So it's going to be good. It's not no makeup food. And we're going to stay long enough to see the stars in the sky and hear the voices of them people who got to Quindaro. And then Sunday, we're going to have a church service, and then we're going to have a brunch, and we do some more talking. You're going to truly enjoy this. All this and about my book and about my movie is on my website, which is businessintheblack.net. Oh man, I'm tripping. I'm so excited about today's guest. I tell you, I'm tripping on this story. I got it straight, no chaser. That's what we got, straight, no chaser. And so you hear me use that word strong a lot. It's my favorite word. I even posted a picture of me standing under Strong Street. And in my world, strong stands for strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace. And that is my introduction to my guest today. He's a strong man. And let me tell you, I know for sure in this regard, he and I are in that same fraternity. I ain't got to name no names, but black and gold is our colors. You can go with that. Come on, strong man, introduce yourself. Thank you for coming on the channel.
I'm Darren Patterson.
Darren Patterson.
That's right. And you are a good alpha man.
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you that. So
yes, sir.
I'm here because I'm the president of the Clotilda Descendants Association here in Mobile. And the Clotilda was the last slave ship to bring illegally enslaved people from Africa. And I say illegally enslaved because when it came in 1860, bringing enslaved people from Africa for the purpose of enslaving them here in America had been illegal for 50 years.
I got to stop you right there.
Okay.
Let me stop you in this regard. And all my guests, I got to ask them a little question about who they are, because I want my viewers to understand this. So I got a couple of them. So you were born in Mobile?
Born in Africatown. We called it Plateau at the time.
Okay, how did when you were born there, did you know what Africatown meant? When did you understand what it meant?
Absolutely not. That's one of the things that I want to make sure your guests know. They didn't tell us, the old Africans, our family, told us very little about who we are. And I'll get into that as we go forward here.
Okay, let me stop you there then.
Very little.
Let me stop you there, excuse me. If you didn't know that, then what was it like growing up there?
It was beautiful. It was a smaller version of Black Wall Street in Tulsa. We had shops, we had stores, we had doctors, we had drive-ins, we had our own school. It was a self-contained community. The only thing we had to leave the community for was to go pay the electric bill, the gas bill, and the water bill. Everything else we had.
Okay, and let me stop you right there. Where is Africatown? In near Mobile? Where is it?
It's a community within the city limits of Mobile.
Oh, it's within Mobile.
Yes, yes.
And how big is Africatown?
At the time when I grew up, there was almost 14,000 people there. Right now, there's probably less than 1,500 people.
Okay, so now you went to what high school? What was the name of the school? Was it one school, two schools, whatever?
There was one school in the community called Mobile County Training School, and it was actually the school that was established by the Africans in 1880. When they got here, there were already other enslaved people. You remember the Atlantic slave trade had been going on for years. 12 million people were brought here in the Atlantic slave trade.
That's right. That's right.
And back 50 years earlier, around 1803, the act was passed outlawing bringing Africans here from Africa for the purpose of enslaving them.
Okay, let me stop you there. I still want to get on you just a tad more because I like this, man. I want people to know who you are. Let me say this. So when you were growing up, was it all majority Black?
It was all Black.
It was all
segregated.
you knew.
Segregated.
So did you ever have? So did you? Oh, how about this one? Did you know not to leave there to go to the white town because of racism and you might get into trouble?
No, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. We could leave. You know, we could leave the town. We left the town quite a bit. Remember, I told you we went to pay the electric bill, the water bill, the gas bill, and we'd buy furniture. We didn't have furniture stores, so we could leave. I mean, and we left willingly, but we willingly stayed because the community was so great to us. It was us. It was people like us. They looked like us. We knew everybody. Everybody knew everybody. Everybody, you talk about this community, this village raising a child, everybody raised me. Everybody raised my friends.
Okay,
everybody knew everybody.
Okay, with that said, was there did y'all, I mean, so but y'all were under the political structure of Mobile, which meant the white mayor and all that other stuff.
Right. We had a 3-commission form of government that was set up that way simply to make sure that it was run by the old Mobile money people. The 3-commissioner form of government, the 3 men were elected at large, which meant that no Black people were on this commission. This went on for years. And they were actually puppets for the people in Mobile with the old money. Now, let me talk about the old money. The old money, and there are several millionaires in Mobile and who got rich, and families got rich off of the slave trade. The slave trade was the biggest industry in Mobile in the 1800s. Everybody was into the slave business, everybody who was white.
Okay, we're going to get to that. I ain't forgetting none of them because I want to talk about it. So growing up there, did you, what was it like? And I know this is an easy question. Mm-hmm. Did you know white people? Would you ever interact with white people?
Oh yeah, the milkman who brought the milk, the vegetable man who provided vegetables for the community who would come through with the truck. These were white people. Some white people had stores in the community, as did Black people, but very few. I remember one white lady had a store across the street from my grandmother's house. And we knew about white people, but we also knew that segregation at that time was the way of the world, as far as we were concerned. As far as we were concerned. So it was no big deal that we were segregated from white people. I remember being 4 or 5 years old and seeing a white and colored water fountain sign and asking my daddy, what was that about? And he said, don't worry about it. It'll be better one day. That's all he said. They did not tell us a lot.
Where did you see that sign? In Africa Town? Or
I saw it at the Greyhound bus station on Highway 45 in Pritchard, Alabama. That's a community right next to Plateau in Africa Town.
Yeah. Did y'all so how did you, what was the parameters of Africa Town? Was it you were inside the city and there wasn't like a wall built and nothing like that? It was just
No, it was a community inside Mobile. There were no restrictions for us to leave Africa Town or people to come in Africa Town. It was nothing like that. Just like Black Wall Street in Tulsa, white people came there to go to clubs because of entertainment. But we didn't have a lot of interaction of the races. Okay, it was all segregated. There were several segregated. Segregation was a way of life at that time. There were Black schools in Mobile. There were white schools in Mobile, but only the Black schools played each other in sports. And
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, only Black schools interacted. There is a stadium in Mobile called Ladd Stadium. As a matter of fact, I posted it to my Facebook page the other day that in 1963, the Oakland Raiders decided that they didn't want to play an exhibition game at Ladd Stadium because of segregated seating. And the Black players on the Oakland Raiders decided, no, we're not going to play. So it was way before Colin Kaepernick that black
I got
athletes
you.
had a voice.
I got
And
you.
they canceled that game because there was still segregation in Mobile. And we had the opportunity to do a lot of things, but at Ladd Stadium, that was a white stadium, 40,000 seats. The Senior Bowl was played there up until last year. Now it's played at another stadium they built here in Mobile. But Mobile County Training School and Central High School, the two oldest black schools in the Mobile area, were the only schools allowed to play at that stadium. And we played on Thanksgiving Day every year in the Turkey Day Classic, and there were 40,000 black people that turned out to that game every year.
Ooh, I
every
love
year.
it.
It was great. It was an event. It was an event.
So let me go back. One more question on you.
Mhm.
Did your people ever think to leave Africa Town? Let's get up north or anything like that? Maybe might be a little easier way of going about worlds.
As when integration came about, my class, the class of 1970, was the last graduating class from Mobile County Training School until segregation came about. Once segregation came about, the community started to die out. People started
integration.
Yeah, I'm sorry, integration, correct.
Yeah, right.
My father moved to a community called Hillsdale that was on the other side of Mobile, looking for better lives, looking for better quality of life for their families, better housing, that type thing, because the community had started to deteriorate. And we fully believe that was by design, like it was for most black communities in the country. It was by design to wipe them out. Right now, we've got all kinds of things where we're trying to wipe out part of history so that some kids don't know about it. I'll talk about that later. But it was a designed effort to wipe out Africa Town. We fully believe that.
Okay, let me ask you this one more question. Then we're gonna hit it. We're gonna hit it hard. Okay. Where did the black people work that lived in Africa Town?
Africa Town was also industrialized. There was a huge international paper mill put right in the middle of Africa Town.
Okay.
And a lot of and what they did by trying to appease the residents, they employed a lot of the residents. Okay. There was also an Air Force base here called Brooklyn Air Force Base.
Okay.
Brooklyn Air Force Base employed a lot of African Americans. It was the largest employer in the city at the time. So those things, and we'll talk about those later, when International Paper Company left and Brooklyn closed, it really changed the future of Mobile.
Oh, sure. Okay, now let's go back to the beginning of Africa Town. Let's start at where it got its name and so on and so forth.
Let me tell the story.
Yeah.
In 1860, bringing Africans here for the purpose of enslaving them had been illegal for 50 years.
Right.
But a gentleman by the name of Timothy Mayer, a very wealthy white man in Mobile, decided that he would make a bet. And he made a large bet. Some people have said it's $1,000, $100,000, $1 million. We've heard several things. But he made a bet with his friends that he, at a bar one night, drunken bet, that he could import a load of Africans right under the noses of the federal government. So the Clotilda had been a cargo ship. It had sailed from here to Africa and here to West Indies, bringing back lumber and that type of thing. It was built for speed. And he owned this ship. He owned a shipyard, among other businesses. He had lumber, that type thing. And what he did was he made this bet that he could do it. So he enlisted his friend, Captain William Foster from Maine. Timothy Mayer had come from Maine and set up his businesses here in Mobile, hence all the shipbuilding businesses that were here because of people with shipbuilding experience from Maine. Right. So he got his friend, William Foster, Captain William Foster, to head up the team that would take this vessel to Africa and get a load of enslaved people. Now, remember, in Africa, King Galele and the King of Dahomey, he had gotten wind of the slave trade.
Who is he? Now, hold on. Who is he? Who are these people?
King Galele from the Kingdom of Dahomey. It's Benin now, but it was the Kingdom of Dahomey.
Okay.
But he had gotten wind of the fact that he could get rich by capturing his enemies, his rival tribes, and selling them to the white man. Now we get white people now say, well, you people shouldn't be upset because it was your black people that sold black people. That's trying to justify slavery, okay? That didn't have a darn thing to do with you buying black people, okay? So Galele got rich. He got rich by selling enslaved Africans, his rival tribesmen. And he would, his army was an army of women, and they were ruthless. They were ruthless. They were the ones who would go out and enslave these rivals, because remember, they had the best weapons because they had traded these weapons for their services in capturing their rivals. A lot of the weapons they had were the best, swords and all kinds of things that they had gotten from England. Remember, England was industrialized. So what would happen was you would send a ship to England and trade for these type things, these weapons, take these weapons to Africa, trade them to Galele along with money, and his army was very well equipped, this army of women. So they were the ones who would they were brutal. They were really brutal women. They would walk around with severed heads of their rivals on their belts as trophies. Okay. These people were no joke.
Yeah.
So Galele got rich by selling his rivals to white enslavers from America.
Right.
Okay. So when that happened, and believe me, Clotilda was almost destined to make this trip. She was almost caught twice by British man-of-war ships who were patrolling the area because, remember, I told you it was illegal. And she was able to avoid that detection. She went through 2 hurricanes. She actually had a broken mast where she had to pull into Bermuda and have fixed. And all this time, the voyage with the 110 captives aboard took 2 months. They were butt naked. They had to eat where they defecated. They had to sleep where they defecated. Now, here's the bad part, if you can get any worse.
Yeah.
The area that they were enslaved in, the cargo hold, was smaller than a lot of people's living rooms in their houses today. So you had 110, and remember, these were teenagers. These were not grown people. Yeah, they didn't want people like me and you.
Yeah, sure.
They wanted young bucks.
Yeah, right. I got you.
They wanted young ladies that could breed.
Yeah, I got
you.
So
these were mostly teenagers, but they were enslaved in an area 20 by 27 by 7 feet high, 110 people.
I got you.
For 2 months, through 2 hurricanes, basically in the dark all that time, because the only light they had was on the grates that were cut in the top of the cargo hold so they could breathe. They were only allowed out on deck 1 day a week, and that's so their muscles wouldn't atrophy, because they would be no good to their captors and their people who bought them if they couldn't walk.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So they were only allowed on deck once a week, every Friday, once a week. And then they'd have to go back and hold.
I gotta ask you this question right there.
How
do you know these things?
How do I know them?
Yeah.
Because my great-great-grandfather was on the ship.
Ooh-wee.
My great-great-grandfather, Kupali, Polly Allen, was on the ship.
So then, okay, if he was on the ship, then he told your grandfather.
These stories have been passed down over the years.
I see.
Okay,
everybody. Okay? That's how it goes.
Right. I mean, it's just like any other line of genealogy where people want, and this is what I encourage people because of this. I encourage people to know your history, know your genealogy, invest in someone who can tell you where you came from. They didn't tell me, my folks did not sit me down and say, okay, here's the story of our family. I had to get this from other people in Africa Town who weren't afraid to talk about it. And the reason for that, I have several theories, but the one theory I think stands out the most to me is they were ashamed of how they got here. There's a book called Barracoon. Barracoon is a fortress where you hold enslaved people and when prepare them for sale. In the book Barracoon, Cudjoe Lewis, who was one of the longest living enslaved people on that ship. He died, I think, in 1930 something. But Cudjoe Lewis said the most embarrassing part of it all was when they took their clothes. Now, that was a mind game. And also, they wouldn't have had to wash clothes for 2 months and disease and that type thing. But that was a mind game. And I truly believe, Anthony, that the reason my folks didn't talk about where we came from was because they were only interested in where we were going.
All right, let me stop it. When did you find out the first time this was the story then? How did you even ask somebody?
I was walking through the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History in Detroit one day, looking at slaves and the exhibits of slavery. And there was a gentleman here in Mobile who always tried to tell us our history, and he would get shouted down at church. Henry Williams was his name. He would always say, you know, you need to know your history. And then people say, don't listen to Henry Williams, he's crazy.
Really?
Yeah, because they didn't really want us to know who we were. I'm telling you, they didn't want us to know who we were. They were only interested in where we were going. And that meant to us, to me, I used to tell my mama all the time when I heard about the African thing. I said, oh, mama, you know, you're African. And she says, I am not African. Very adamantly and vehemently. I was talking to my cousin. I was talking to my cousin last night, who is a grandson of Kupali. John Bako is his name. And he said, my mother actually slapped him once when he tried to tell her about the heritage. See, John's mother, Louise, and his Aunt Eva, they didn't mind telling the young kids about their history. Every family did not have that same ethic. Every family didn't sit people down like John's family did and say, let me tell you about who you are. And my family was one of those families that didn't do it. I can't tell you their reasoning because they're no longer here for me to ask them.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah, but I fully believe that they were embarrassed either by being African or how we got here. I've got sisters right now who don't acknowledge our heritage because I believe they were so brainwashed by our family that they were not African that they don't even talk about it. I'm the president of the association, man, and they don't even support me in what I'm doing because they don't talk about their African heritage.
Okay.
I talk about our African heritage to them. I talk about it to my nieces. So my nieces will talk about it to their kids.
I got you.
Okay,
so what happened? Okay, so then they get on the ship. They make it to
Mobile.
Okay, now let's get this straight.
Let me stop you right there.
Yeah, go
When
ahead.
they got to Mobile, they were almost detected by the feds. Okay, so what Mayer did, he was wealthy. He had the ship towed up the Mobile River, dropped all the sails, and had the enslaved people transferred to a steamboat who took them 12 miles up the river. And they took Clotilda and burned it to destroy all the evidence. Remember that bringing enslaved Africans here was a crime, and the penalty was death. Okay, if they had got caught, Captain Foster, Timothy Mayer, and all his cronies would have been put to death. And they actually were put on trial when the feds got wind of it. But who was on the jury? A jury of their peers, you know.
Oh.
And so they did not. They were not convicted.
So is there a date that the boat landed to the dock or something like that?
1860. Okay, 1860. 1860 was when they got here. They were enslaved for 5 years after that. And then in 1865 came the Emancipation Proclamation. Okay.
Let me get this straight. Okay, how about this one?
Hold on, let me tell you this. They were freed. And they asked Mr. Mayor, hey, can we have a boat to go back home? Now remember, these were Yorubans. If you ever look up Yorubans are very intelligent people. We are farmers. We are all kinds of innovators. And unlike what Timothy Mayer was trying to sell to the people here in America, that we were stupid people. The people were saying, hey, you said these folks were stupid. We see them doing this and they only saw us do this one time. Now they picked it up and they're doing it better. We actually showed them how to have a better cotton crop. They were farmers, Yorubans, among other things. So once that slavery was, the Emancipation Proclamation was signed by Abraham Lincoln, and they were free. And they said, well, okay, give us a boat so we can go back home. My money would have been on them if they'd have got back home. Timothy Mayer said, no, not giving you a boat. They said, okay, well, give us some land so that we can just settle here. He's like, no, not giving you any land. They said, okay, well, let us work for you and save our money to buy land. And that's what they did. They bought land that he had in Africatown. The Mayer family, that is a filthy rich family, still owns property in Africatown today. And we want that property. We want it.
Okay, this is my question here, and I'm going back just a tad.
Okay.
The boat leaves Africa, and it sails the Atlantic Ocean.
It sails the Atlantic Ocean.
It sails around Florida.
Around Cuba.
Yep. Around Florida. And then comes up that panhandle.
Comes up the panhandle of Florida. If you look on a map, the Gulf Coast is Pensacola, Mobile, Gulfport, Biloxi, New Orleans. That's the Gulf Coast, okay?
I got you.
So we are 60 miles from Pensacola. We're right on the Florida line one way and on the Mississippi line the other way. If you look on a map, you'll see Mobile Bay.
I got you.
Where the ship sailed into Mobile Bay.
Do they know where the ship docked?
They know where the ship was. Let me back up. When the ship got here, word had gotten out to the feds that there may be a load of Africans being brought here. So the feds were on the lookout. So the ship dropped anchor right off the coast of Mississippi. And Captain Foster got off the ship, hired a guy in a buggy to take him to Mobile to let Mayer know that he was back with his load of enslaved people.
Okay.
And that's when Mayer dispatched his other boats. Remember, he was a shipyard guy.
Right.
He dispatched another boat to tow the Clotilda up Mobile Bay. They dropped the sails, okay, so it would look like any other boat.
I got you.
So it wouldn't look like it had a load of slaves. And they towed the boat up the Mobile River. When they got up the Mobile River, everything started to break loose. The feds really found out more that was happening. So what he decided to do was transfer the slaves to a steamboat and take the Clotilda on up the river about 12 miles up the Mobile River and burn it and sink it.
I got you.
Okay. And that's where Clotilda rested until a gentleman by the name of Ben Raines, who is a local environmentalist and tour guide. He knows the rivers of Mobile and Mobile Bay like the back of his hand. He started looking for Clotilda back in 2018. And he thought he had found it. And that's when National Geographic and Search Incorporated, that was hired by National Geographic, came in to verify what Ben had found. Well, come to find out that wasn't Clotilda he had found, because up that way is nothing but a graveyard of old ships. Ben was really upset. Ben was let down. So Ben went back to work. He said, well, wait a minute, maybe I'm looking in the wrong place, because the mayors purposely tried to throw people off about where the ship may be. So Ben took another tack on his search, and he actually found Clotilda this time.
Oh, I got you.
Search Incorporated, which is a world-renowned group of people, they actually found the Titanic. They came in and verified through, they have, their records of Clotilda, the build of the ship. It was built in New York, and the records were stored in New York about the ship's build, the type fasteners that were used. Well, Jim Delgado is the archaeologist that heads up Search Incorporated. And through all these records and the wood that Ben had found, he verified that this is Clotilda.
Okay.
I will never forget when we had the press conference in Africatown. I'll never forget the words that Jim Delgado said. He said, yes, it is Clotilda.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Okay, so now to get the Africans off the boat, do they sell them and disperse them throughout the country or the South?
They disperse them throughout the South. Only 35 or so were allowed to be here. They were sold to, Mayor kept some, his brother kept some, one of his friends, a guy named Brooks something or other, he kept some, and then they were sold to other slavers up in Selma, over in Mississippi. I think a couple of them went to Georgia.
Okay.
Few more are up around Mount Vernon, which is about 30 miles north of here. And but the ones that were here, the 30 or so that were here, are the ones that established Africatown. And my great-great-grandfather, and Osiah Kebe and Cudjoe Lewis were the three leaders of that community. They were the guys that settled disputes on Friday night. You know, they were the guys who had to be the leader. Somebody has to always lead.
So how about this one? So who coins the term Africatown?
Well, that's another thing. You see, when I left Plateau, it wasn't called Africatown. When they started to find out its heritage back in the 70s, well, in the late 70s, all this stuff started to resurface publicly about Africatown. And there was a gentleman by the name of Robert Battles, who, he's not a descendant, he's just a local guy who decided, I'll take up this fight. And he started doing whatever he could to put Africatown on the map. And that's when the name, that's when people started acknowledging Plateau as Africatown. He began to find all this stuff. They had everything in Africatown except the Clotilda. The historic Union Baptist Church that was founded by the Africans, you had documentation of that. You had documentation of the school. There was documentation of everything. And the one missing piece was Clotilda.
I got you.
Until it was found in 2019.
Is there, so when, and you just alluded to this, there are some structures of, like you say, churches, buildings, or something that were built by those enslavers?
Absolutely.
Enslaved people?
Union Baptist Church that was founded by the enslaved Africans, right next to the church is a row of about 8 or 9 houses that were actually the slave quarters. They were the slave quarters. And they made sure that those houses, we want to redo those houses and bring them back to the way they were in the period. We really believe that once Africatown is developed in the next few years, we're going to have something tantamount to that, okay? Because it is that much history. But Anthony, there are people right now, and there's nothing really to see except the structures, the church, the school, the cemetery, the old Lee chimney. There's really not a lot for you to see. And Anthony, people are coming from everywhere right now just to see Africatown. I get calls in the morning, at night, from Shanghai, China, Australia, Japan, England, people saying, I want to come, I want to come.
I love it.
They've gone to our website and they send me emails and they call the 800 number, or they call the vice president of the organization, Ms. Jocelyn Davis, or they call other members of the organization and say, well, we want to come, we want to come. And we've partnered with a tour company here, Mr. Eric Finley, who runs the Dora Franklin Finley Heritage Trail.
Yep.
And they do most of our tours now.
Yeah, he's on the channel.
Yeah. We do most of they do most of our tours now. So it's really an interesting story, and it's only going to get bigger from here. When I take people to Africatown, I tell them what you see now is not what you're going to see in about 2 years.
Yeah,
and it may be even faster than that because the train has left the station, Anthony.
I love it.
It's gone.
Let me ask you this. Oh, Africatown, how big is it?
It's not that big. There are some figures. I'm going to say it's roughly 4 square miles. Okay, 6 square miles. It's not a big area.
Okay.
Okay, and I could be off on that. This is where I need.
And so you would say the board.
This is where I need Joe Womack.
Yeah.
Joe Womack is another character here
Yeah.
who knows all the intricacies. He is the president of an organization called CHESS, which stands for Clean, Healthy, Sustainable. I'm not sure quite of the acronym, but it's on our website. All the partners, remember, we're not the only group in Africatown. There's the Mobile County Training School Alumni Association. Anderson Flynn's the president of that. Joe is the president of CHESS. The Africatown Community Development Corporation is led by a guy named Cleon Jones. Now, if you're of a certain age, you will know that name because Cleon Jones was one of the outfielders for the '69 Miracle Mets when they came from way back at the All-Star break to win the World Series.
Okay.
And as a side note to that, the only time there have been 3 outfielders from the same town in the major leagues was in '69 when Cleon was there, Amos Otis was there, and Tommy Agee was there. They were the 3 outfielders for the New York Mets, and they were all from Mobile.
Oh, I love it.
Oh yeah. Baseball is also a big part of our history.
What now? What? But you know the streets that border Africatown.
Yes.
What are those?
Well, you got Bay Bridge Highway that runs through the middle of Africatown.
Okay.
That was the main drag. Matter of fact, my house was there where I was born was on Bay Bridge Highway, but the other streets are Telegraph Road, Highway 43, Paper Mill Road. They all encompass the community.
I got you.
Okay.
The street that the main street that the business district is called what? Where the shops were when you were growing up?
Bay Bridge Road. Bay Bridge Road.
Okay.
It was a beautiful street. 4 lane, 2 lanes going, 2 lanes coming. When you cross the Mobile River and cross the bridge, you were essentially going to Baldwin County. It had a beautiful boulevard, well manicured.
Yeah.
It was really a cool place to live and cool place to grow up, man. Everybody knew everybody.
Yeah.
You know, we had a midwife, Mama Thelma. She delivered pretty much everybody. And Mama Thelma is legendary. Mama Thelma would pretty much name you whatever she wanted to name you, regardless of what your parents wanted to name you. Yeah. I mean, I got 2 legal first names simply because Mama Thelma wanted me to be named something my mama didn't want me to be. Yeah. And that's the kind of stuff that Mama Thelma does. I was talking to her, one of her daughters the other day. I was interviewing them because I'm producing part 2 of the film 110 that's going to come out later this year. And her daughter told me that Mama Thelma would see a kid on the street and the kid would be messing up. And Mama Thelma would say, hey, you cut that out. You're not even paid for it because your mama hadn't even paid me for you yet. Yeah. So Mama Thelma had that kind of.
I got you.
Yeah, she was no joke.
I got you. Let me ask you this. Is there a holiday that you all celebrate there in Mobile? I'm not talking about Mardi Gras, but.
No. We just got the governor of the state of Alabama to recognize July the 8th as the landing. That's the day you recognize that Clotilda made it to Mobile Bay.
Okay.
Now we have a designated site underneath the bridge where we call the landing, but she didn't actually land there. But we call it the landing. As a matter of fact, we are working on a nice celebration. This is the second time that we're actually going to have this celebration about the landing. But we want it to grow, just like the Spirit of Our Ancestors Festival in February. This is our 4th year, and we're getting ready to produce the Clotilda stage play. That's going to be a full stage play in 2024, debuting here in Mobile. As a matter of fact, we've hired a noted playwright from Cleveland, Mr. Terrence Spivey, to produce this film. I mean, this stage play.
I got you. I love it.
And we're in partnership with a group that is bringing professional Black theater to Mobile. Our goal as the Clotilda Descendants Association is to, one, never let the world forget the plight of the 110, because they were remarkable people. Two, we want to
let me stop you and say, why you say the 110?
There were 110 people in the cargo hold.
I got you.
If you go to our website, theclotildastory.com, you will see our logo is a ship, and the sails of that ship are the numbers 110.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. Let me ask you this. So
the second thing I want to tell you is education. Education is our big deal. We want to make sure that the young people coming along behind us, the next generations of Clotilda descendants, carry on this story. I don't want this to be like my folks did me. I need my sons to know the history. I need their children to know the history, and their children's children. We need to know where we came from, Anthony.
I got you.
Okay. People want to do all this critical race theory these days. Black history is American history.
That's right.
And the best way right now that we can help all kids in America, black, white, brown, whomever, is to let them know that the period of enslavement and the Atlantic slave trade was not a good period in our history.
That's right.
It was wrong. It's a teachable moment, Anthony.
That's right. That's right.
It was wrong.
That's right.
Now we need to teach those kids that was wrong. Now here's what we do to make it right.
Let me stop you right there. Let me ask you this. So when your great grandfather got here,
great
grandfather, and he was enslaved. What was the? I got a few questions on this note. What did they have them do? Was it cotton or?
They did everything. This is the thing about it. I don't know if they realized who they had in that cargo hold. They had some remarkable, extraordinary people, Yorubans, in that cargo hold. That point. They were farmers. They were woodworkers.
But I'm saying is
my great grandfather was a beekeeper. Okay.
So when he worked for the white guy, what did the white guy have him do? It wasn't a cotton plantation, was it?
Most of the time they just was cotton. When the Atlantic slave trade began because the South was not industrialized like the North.
I got you.
And South America's main crop was sugar.
Right.
Okay. So these people needed cheap labor to produce what the white folks wanted: fine clothes and sugar for their coffee. So a lot of the enslaved people went to South America to produce, to work in the sugarcane field.
Right.
And a lot of them came here to produce cotton.
So it was cotton in Alabama.
Cotton was the thing.
Okay, what let me ask you this. What did he do? Who did he marry?
He married, well, here we go. Okay. My great-great-grandfather was married twice. Okay. All right. His first wife, after she passed away, they had 3 kids. The first wife, after she passed away, he married a lady named Rose.
Let me stop you right there. Was the first wife on the ship too?
Don't stop me right here. Okay.
No, but Rose, I'm saying, was she on the ship too? Yes, or she just lived in Africa? In African town.
She also was on the ship. She was also 25 years his junior. Hello?
Oh.
Okay. And they had 10 kids. The second wife, who was 20 some years his junior. So my great-great-grandfather had it going on, man.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. I understand that.
Yeah. My wife said, show you a picture of him, but I have to send it to you.
Yeah. So now all this has happened, and all these good things are transpiring in African Town and the new development and so on and so forth. Has the federal government made it a historical site or any of that kind of thing?
Yes. Okay. The Clotilda has been designated a historical site, as has Africa Town. Okay. Now, We have looked at the site where the ship is, okay? So is the state of Alabama. There's 24-hour electronic surveillance around this ship because a few years ago, well, let me go back up a little bit. When Search Incorporated went down into the wreck with divers, there was evidence, and I'll put it this way, I'll quote Jim Delgado, that the ship had been disturbed. And what he meant was there were people that have tried to destroy this ship as little as a few years ago. Now, Anthony, the only people that could have done that,
the ship is in the water, right?
The ship is in the water, but the only people that could have done that were people who knew where the ship was all along. And the only people who knew that were the Mayer family, okay? And their cronies. So by simple deduction and knowing that if this, Anthony, no, a lot of people never wanted this ship to be found. Because if the ship was found, it would prove there was evidence of a crime. Evidence of a crime was illegal. That the crime. Okay. Now we don't have anybody to persecute or prosecute for the crime itself because they're all dead.
Right.
But, and this is where the big R word comes in. If we do a civil suit, then we're talking about actually possibly looking at the estates of the people who are responsible for this. Now, I say that with all caution.
I understand. You got to play that.
Because I have talked to a really good friend of mine. He was also an alpha man, who was also one of the top attorneys in town, who told me that the possibilities are there. Now, if you get a good attorney who can argue this, I can see it happening.
I got you.
Now remember, the Mayer family is one of the richest families in Alabama, and they got rich off the slave trade. And just so you know, the Mayer family hasn't said a word about this.
Have you ever met any of them?
I have. Let me tell you how I met them and didn't know who they were. We have a dog track here in Mobile called Mobile Greyhound Park. And back in the day, in the 70s, 80s, the dog track had an executive committee of Gus Chapo, the owners, Gus Chapo, and Gus Mayer, Augustine Mayer. See, me not knowing any of this, I didn't put two and two together at the time, but they were the owners of the dog track. My uncle, Clarence Taylor, was the executive chef at the dog track. He learned how to cook in the Navy and all this stuff, Pullman car, when there was real food on the train. And my uncle, Clarence Taylor, became the executive chef of the Mobile Greyhound Park. He would come home sometime and say, well, I got a private party I got to go do for Gus Mayer. Okay, no big deal. One owns the Greyhound Park. He's picking up a few $100s on the side, catering a private party at this man's mansion, right? Never thought of it. Never thought anything about it. I met Gus Mayer out of the dog track. I used to write sports here at the Press Register, so I was fairly well known in town, and I knew Gus Mayer, not intimately, but
sure.
I knew him. I knew of him. And we had met. As things went on and I started to realize who Gus Mayer was, I realized that the Mayer family was his family. Now he has a son, Augustine Mayer, who's an attorney now, who I've heard is ill, and people are saying they don't know how long he'll be around. He is the last patriarch of that Mayer family who has made sure that nobody in that family talks about this. Okay. Now, I have heard through people who know that family very well and who are now people that I talk to, that once Augustine is gone, the Mayer family will turn from a patriarchal leader to a matriarchal leader a lady by the name of Helen Mayer, who I have heard really wants to talk about this and do a lot to clear her family's name, because their family's name has been dragged through the mud for years, and even more so now since Clotilda was found. So these are all the little side things that are going on.
I got you.
Okay, there's a
I
lot
got you.
going on, Anthony, and
I got you.
I'm like, you know, they say on a football field, keep your head on a swivel.
Yeah.
My head's on a swivel, Anthony.
I got you.
You
Look,
know?
I got just one or two more questions. What other than maybe say give y'all some money, just hypothetically, and some land or whatever. What an apology of how he acted, is that something that could, you know?
I like that. I've already told people. I just want them here to say, look, I just want to go out and have a hamburger and a beer with Gus Mayer, because our lives are going to forever be intertwined.
Yeah.
Okay. People talk about reparations. Yeah. But reparations, how much do I get? How much does my son get?
Yeah, right,
how much does my cousin get? You know, the reparations to me, Brian Stevenson said, nothing will happen until there's truth and reconciliation.
Yeah, I got you.
The truth is Clotilda's been found. The reconciliation part comes now. What do we do now? Does the Mayer family invest, first of all, give us the land that they own in Africatown?
I got you.
Yeah, the answer is yes. Do they contribute a substantial amount of money and set up things over a period of time so that descendants are children are able to go to school? Should they invest in this community?
I got you.
That people they enslave help build?
I got you. I got one
more. The answer is yes.
I love it all. I got one more that came to mind. Did the Mayers ever have relations with the Black women and father some kids?
What do you think? What white man do you know that didn't have relations?
I agree with you.
With Black kids, with Black women? What do you think? Let's just pull up Thomas Jefferson, pull up Strom Thurmond.
So but y'all haven't found the kids.
This is all stuff that is eventually going to come to light. You know, when I say my head's on the swivel, there you go. You give me one more thing now to throw on my plate to think about. And it's there. We've got some very fair-skinned descendants.
Yeah.
Some very fair-skinned descendants.
I can't imagine.
All of them do not look like me.
Let me ask you, is
a lot going on.
We've covered a whole lot here. Is there some question that I have not asked you, first of all?
Oh man, I can think of a million questions you haven't asked me.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna bring them up because right now I'm trying to get ready to get out of here.
I got you.
The Clotilda Descendants Association is being given an award tonight at the Governor's Convention on Tourism. And my wife and I are going over to accept that award.
I love it.
On behalf of the organization.
I love it.
And these are the kinds of things, I mean, there are things going up. We got the stage play. The museum is opening later this spring.
Okay, so you got
temporary. It's going to be temporary. And I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you this. We have a person in town who is our champion, man. Her name is Merceria Ludgood. She's a Mobile County Commissioner.
Yep.
She's Black, and she's one of 3 commissioners. Miss Ludgood, and I can affectionately call her Merceria because she's also a friend. We go way back. She has made it a point and championed the cause to right so many things that have been wrong with Mobile for a long time. It's because of her we have the $3 million to open the museum.
I got you.
Because of her, we're getting money to finance the production of our stage play. It's because of her we have groups of people that before now didn't have a way to get things done, and now we're getting things done. And I'd just like to say that without Merceria Ludgood, Commissioner Ludgood, I really don't know where we'd be.
I love it. I've looked her up too, everybody. I saw I saw that. Now, again, lastly, what is the website for the group and so on and so forth?
TheClotildaStory.com.
Okay, TheClotildaStory.com.
TheClotilda.com. And if you look there, if you can't share your screens, I can easily bring up. Okay, TheClotilda.com. Now, I have been told not to say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. When you go to the home page, there's a really huge donate button.
There you go. Say it. Say it. Say it, man.
There's a big donate button that stands out.
All right. Then
we're getting ready. We're getting ready now. Our donors are really stepping up to the plate, and we're getting ready to make sure we can provide scholarship money for deserving kids going to school. You know, we may not be able to finance you for 4 years yet.
Right.
But we can make sure that we can put money in your pocket to offset some things like your clothes.
Sure.
Okay? Sure. And things like that you need, that you don't get, you know, that you haven't gotten, that your parents can't provide for you. So
sure. And then lastly, that July 18th, is that, have y'all had a festival? Will y'all have a festival?
July 8th is the date of the landing. That's the ceremony that we're going to start developing to commemorate the landing of Clotilda.
I love it. Okay.
The festival itself is February 12th and 13th. This is the first day this is the first year that is 2 days. And that's simply because we're doing Clotilda COVID protocol, and making sure we only let a certain amount of people in and make sure that they're vaccinated and masked and that type of thing. But our goal is to eventually bring this festival to a 3 or 4 day event that culminates with a church service on Sunday at Union Baptist, something like the Zora Neale Hurston Festival down in Orlando.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah.
Everybody, did he put it on you? I tried to interrupt. He said, "Don't interrupt me, man." Let me tell it like I got to tell it, and I'm gonna put it like that. I love it because it's heavy on his heart, and he wanted y'all to hear it straight from the man who can tell it to you the way he can tell it to you.
It's been fun, Anthony. I thank you very much.
Thank you for being on the channel, everybody. And to that, I say hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notifications bell, tell somebody about Strong Inspirations. He got one more
thing. And the donate button, don't forget
hit the donate button. Come on, give him some money. Let's do that. Let's go down there for one of them festivals. Everybody support that cause. Yeah. This is what we do here at Strong Inspirations. And to you, my brother, and I say this with all sincerity.
Say hello to the wife. Say hello to the wife.
I can't see her. The thing.
Oh, there she is. Say hello to the wife.
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. Everybody, it's a tag team on us today.
This is Sandy. This is my ride or die partner.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love it. Everybody, this is what we do is Strong Inspirations. We give it to you straight, no chaser, and I do my best to let them tell it. I might even interrupt them and it don't go nowhere.
You stay warm up there, man.
I told y'all what to do and do what he wants you to do. And with that, I say to you, my brother, and to your wife, man. Well, and I say this with all sincerity. I want you to stay strong, stay safe, stay on your grind. I love what you're doing. That somehow in your heart, you said, hey, I need to learn more about what's happening here. And then took up the mantle and asked somebody to secretly tell you. And then when they told you, you said, I'm going to make this part of my mission from now on. Boom. And that's where you are. We love you for doing that. With that, I'll say, everybody, bye-bye. We out.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you.